Hello, hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you today. And we are going to be talking about the bot revolution. It's been going on for a little while, but what is going on with the number of applications that jobs are getting, why it's happening, when it actually might be a good idea for your clients to use these technologies, and what they need to do because of this shift that these technologies are happening. So we're going to talk about what to do with the bots and when you should help your clients use them or avoid them, and what they should do regardless of whether they use them or not. If you have not been here, Trend Tuesday Live, we talk about the now, the new, and the next in careers. Hit the subscribe button, or if you're watching us on LinkedIn, make sure you're following the page so that you can get our updates as we share them over LinkedIn on a frequent basis. If you're on Facebook or on YouTube, we love to see you there as well. So we are talking about today the job application bot problem. Maybe it's not a problem. I don't know. This is not new. So it's important that we know that these systems have been around for a while. They've just recently, maybe in the past year or so, gained popularity to the point that they are changing the way the landscape of job search and hiring looks. So we actually had our first presentation about Loop CV. So Loop CV is one of the technologies that does this, where it will automatically apply to jobs for you. And we actually had a presentation by Adrian Tan in 2021, I think, maybe it was 2022, during our career jam. He was talking about this technology. So they're not new. They've been around for a long time. But what we've seen in the last 18 months or so is a lot of capital investment going into these types of technologies, because of course job seekers want the process to be easier. So now there is a market for job seekers to use these technologies. We're seeing more of them come onto the scenes. Lazy Apply, and that's probably the one people talk about the most, because they did a great job with naming their software. I don't know, it's very memorable, if nothing else, that you can go and you can use these technologies to apply for you. Now, there are varieties of these technologies. There are ones that apply for you, and there are ones that just help you. So they might store the information for you, and then you use it to help you apply, not to lazy apply for you. So there's a variety of these types of systems on the market. Say hello. Let me know if you're using or have had clients using any of these tools, and what you think in the tool that you've been using. I'd love to hear what you all are seeing, what technologies you're seeing people use. If you're watching replay, drop me a replay and let me know. I always come back and watch those as well, and see what types of feedback we're getting. So, all right, we've got these new technologies. Well, they're not new. Again, they've been around for a while, but they're just starting to gain more popularity. But I want to talk about one thing, because our initial reaction as a coach might be, that's a horrible idea. And having a more nuanced, thoughtful process to that question would be good. I think it's, we don't want our clients to be 1 in 1,000, and we probably don't want them paying to be 1 in 1,000, which, if they're using these technologies, a lot of them are paid. But sometimes there may be instances where this could work. So let's think about that for a second. Okay. Visual pros and cons of using AI in the job search. I don't necessarily have pros and cons. I have a do's and don'ts post, John. I can drop that to you. The do's and don'ts versus pros and cons makes it sound like you either don't use it or you do use it. And I don't think that's necessarily the approach. It's more, how do you use it, the kind of do's and don'ts. So I'll drop that link down here in a second in terms of the do's and don'ts. Kind of goes along with this topic of something like Lazy Apply, or I looked up my list of the other ones. Lazy Apply, Loop CV, Massive, Simplify, which auto fills but doesn't necessarily apply for you, and Simplify. Yeah. So I think those are the main ones. Really, Lazy Apply, Loop CV, and Massive are the ones that apply for you, and it's causing a stir. So I found some data from 2023 that was talking about how applications per open position have gone up 40 to 50% from 2022 to 2023 because of these systems. I'd love to see what the 2024 numbers look like, if it's still on the rise or if it's kind of leveled off because people, may have tried this and found that it didn't work. But let's think about where this might be helpful. So if you are in a very niche job, this could be helpful because one, your resume is going to be really targeted, and two, the jobs that these systems find for you would be very targeted. If you go onto something like Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, and you have a hard time finding job announcements that match what you want to apply to, these tools will probably not be a good fit for you because they are going to be finding those announcements and sending your resume to them, even though they're really not a good fit for you. So you need to be ultra focused so that you can have that targeted resume and ideally be applying to jobs that don't get a flood of applicants on a regular basis. So, more niche jobs, I think this could work for. When you're applying to jobs that already get a flood of applications, like administrative assistants, some kind of entry-level roles, which is where the articles talk about this being helpful. And I really wonder if that is true anymore. Might have been when these articles were written. But if you've got 20,000 applicants for a job, it's just hard to stand out. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I would look for these technologies to help my clients who aren't in the most common roles, the things that get hundreds, thousands applicants. I would look that these might help my clients if they are in a more niche field. The other thing is most of these systems have a gradient, right? You can have it automatically apply for you. That's the laziest of the applying. But you can also have where it finds jobs, it sends you a thing, and then you hit OK. So it's a little bit more automated than just a job alert, but it's not actually automated out there applying to things for you. And that might be a better fit for some of our clients. And at the end of the day, we're just having this conversation with them of you are paying however much a month, some of like 25 to 60 bucks a month, depending on this technology and the level of automation that you want to pay for or the number of jobs you want to pay for. So you're paying to be one of 1,000 applicants or one of 1,500, 20, whatever it is. Is that where you want to use your money? It does save you time. So it's, we're maybe not having to do the online application thing, which is good. We could transfer that time into networking or doing something that might be more effective. Is this where you want to spend your money? And for some of our clients, it might be, and it's a good experiment. So then we say, okay, if we're going to do an experiment, what are our KPIs? What are we measuring? Are we getting good jobs? You want to pay attention to spam. You want to be really careful of spam when you use these types of systems. And because you are going to be opening yourself up to getting more spam, it's really easy to post a fake job where people can apply through Easy Apply on LinkedIn actually is skimmable by these types of systems. So it's easy to post a job, don't have to pay that much or anything. And I start getting automated applicants who are giving me their email address, and then I can send out an automated email to get their information and scam them all. So I do think that if you use these technologies, you want to be careful that you are opening yourself up to that possibility and set up a separate email. Be really careful about how you respond to emails that come to that email address. And that's why I would set up a separate email if I was using these tools, so that I would know that those emails, like nobody I know has that email. So if someone tries to send me the scam email of, oh, I need money, I'm your mother and I'm stuck somewhere, I know right away that that's not true because my mom don't even have that email, right? It's just my job search email. I would do that and be careful about those things and just see it as an experiment. Track track those indicators. What am I getting? Is it worth my time? Is it worth paying for? And for some people, it might be, but it's just something you want to be thinking about and have a process around so that you can be careful with it if you're going to use those tools. So again, that's Loop CV, Lazy Apply, and Massive are kind of the automated of the bunch. And then there are a few tools that just help you. They're a Chrome plugin where it will copy the application in for you, but it doesn't necessarily lazy apply for you. And like Simplify, Hunter, which we've talked about for a long time, and create some of those things. And always be careful of the systems that say they use AI to target your resume, because when they use AI to target your resume, they also put in inaccuracies, they put in things that don't sound right, and they may take out your specifics, accomplishments, the things that make your resume great. So you just want to be careful. You can still use those tools, but you just want to be careful when you use them. So this is changing the job market, because now we've got thousands of applications coming in for open jobs. And what I'm hearing from recruiters, and I'd love to hear what you're hearing, or if you are a recruiter, what you're seeing as well, is a return to communities. So actually in the one of the HR recruiter newsletters that I get today or yesterday, the person was talking about the rebirth of communities and how they're using communities to recruit now, because when they post a job on these job boards, they're getting floods of unqualified people. Unfortunately, this has also targeted LinkedIn's Easy Apply. So if you apply via Easy Apply on LinkedIn, that job has been scraped by these systems, and it's subject to the same huge numbers of applicants perhaps. And so we've got to help job seekers understand how to use these technologies for their benefit if they can, but then how to redirect their efforts into the ways that recruiters are hiring right now because of these challenges. And they're doing more networking, they're doing more community building, they're getting referrals from their network, and they're maybe posting on niche job boards or things that aren't being scraped by these systems. Any of your big job boards are Monster, Career Builder, Indeed, LinkedIn. They're all being scraped by these automated apply tools. So how can you help job seekers find ways to connect with recruiters in a more meaningful way so that they stand out instead of being one of 1,000? And I know we get on the resume applicant tracking system keyword train, and that is important. But let's face it, if you're one of 1,000, if I'm getting 1,000 resumes for a job, even the keyword match and you floating to the top is like throwing a coin in the wishing pool, right? I mean, yes, we do want to do that. We want to think about aligning our stories to the job, deep level and obviously the keyword level, but you can't just focus on the keyword level, because then you might get through the system, but you're still not going to get through the first level of reviewer, because there's going to be 100 people get through the system, especially if they're using they're using AI. They've got all the keywords. So I'm a recruiter and I'm using the scoring system, which most recruiters aren't anyways. I'm looking at all the resumes. Half of the resumes are junk because they're written by AI and they don't include any real information about the person. Then I get to how can I see what someone has actually done? And by that point, my eyes have glazed over and I'm going to my community asking if I can get some referrals, right? So we just need to think about their side of it. We've always talked to people about think like the employer. Now we want to think about what they're dealing with right now and how we might come at the process a different way, to connect into them, to engage with them in a different way. And it's becoming, it's just hit this tipping point in the last few months where it's like, enough. Technology is not going to fix this problem. I don't think we're necessarily going to see more scoring systems, because the AI prevents the scoring systems from really being effective, because you can game the system but with an AI written resume, but as a recruiter I'm still getting junk because you may not have actually really done those things. So there's going to be a shift, well, it's already started, in how the recruiting happens. We're seeing more referral programs talked about, we're seeing more communities talked about, and we've really got to help our job seekers figure it out. An applicant tracking system optimized resume is not going to fix their problem. It's important, but it's kind of important at a deeper level so that they understand the job and how they connect to the job and how their qualifications connect to the job. But it's still probably not going to get them to rise to the top, because there's just too much noise in the system. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what you all are hearing or seeing in this space. But we've really got to help job seekers job search differently. use the online job ads to inform yourself, to inform your research. Of course, still apply to the things that are a great fit, but you are going to have to job search differently. And we get so caught up in the applicant tracking system matching that I just don't think is going to cut through this noise. We get then distracted on the LinkedIn profile optimization, which again, if I'm a recruiter and I'm going to search on LinkedIn, it's maybe, I mean, it is better, but there's easier ways, there's more proactive ways to key into the hiring manager. And that's what we want our clients to start doing. And we've been teaching it forever. And now they just need to be aware of these other forces that are making that even more important than ever. Because if you're focused on online, if you're focused even on the keyword matching games, you're really missing what's really happening. So the other day I was talking to someone about LinkedIn especially. And in certain careers, certain types of careers, when you're trying to network on LinkedIn, it might be like going to a networking event where no one is there. So, or you're going to a networking event, and I don't know, maybe you did this when you were starting your business, but when I started my business, I'd go to the chamber and it just was not my people, right? It was real estate agents and financial services, and they could have been my people, but I didn't know how to connect with them. And then as my business changed, they really, really weren't my people. And so I was going to these networking events that were nonsense, right? They just weren't going to make a difference. And for a lot of our clients, that's what they're getting when they go to LinkedIn. They're networking with a bunch of salespeople and career services providers when they need to be networking with other engineers or whatever it might be. And so we've really got to help our clients figure out who do they want to be engaging with, and then where are those people? And then when we can do that, we can move them through. I know that like job search is hard right now, especially at kind of that mid-level professional. It's and there's more layoffs coming. So this isn't like an easy answer, and I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know, but just helping our job seekers understand why and the shift that's happening that is really making this even more important. And that in some ways, we're kind of going backwards to the days when we would do more networking, we would do more meetup groups, we would do more of those things. And we can use technology to do some of those things now, but the actual process hasn't changed. And it's the tools and the technology and the where we meet those people perhaps that has changed, but the actual process hasn't changed. And I know, John, you teach this to your folks. So we're teaching this, but hopefully now you have a little bit more oomph behind your why this is so important, because that online game has just been taken over by the bots. And it doesn't mean you still can't find a job by applying online, or that that's not an important part of the process. We're not saying stop applying online, because then you might miss something that actually is a good fit. But you've got to do the other pieces as well and realize what's going on in that online space so that you can do it smarter. Go to the niche job boards, go to the company's actual website, right? Do the things that connect you as directly as possible to the actual openings versus applying on some of these bigger sites, and be smart about what types of jobs am I trying to get, and what does that look like? And what does that market look like right now? It's a great networking question to ask a recruiter, right? Instead of ask a recruiter, do they have a job? You could ask, what's the market look right now? What's, average number of applications that you're getting for a role? Asking some of those questions so that you can get a feel for, in your industry, in your geography, what does that look like? And then be careful about the requirements that you might be placing on a job. And what do you really need? What are your non-negotiables? And what are some of those things that you could compromise on to get going or start again in the industry? Do you absolutely need remote work? Could you do hybrid? Are there some things that you could compromise on a little bit to get yourself moving in the job market? And just thinking about it as creative without, of course, getting in a place you don't want to be. We got to find that happy medium somewhere. Yes, addicted to the ATS and fight against the bots. Right, and the job seekers now have contributed to that problem in a big way, and so it's just kind of ratcheted it up, right? We had recruiters using the bots, and then job seekers, "Well, I'll use the bots," and then it's gotten to this place where I don't think it's helpful for anyone or either side, and hopefully it will kind of come back down. But right now, if you're trying to play in that ATS optimized noise, you just really in that noise. And how could you get outside of it so that you can be heard, so that you can stand out, and so you can connect to the people that you really want to connect to about getting the job that you actually want and might like, and getting out of that noise and more into the conversations that matter, I guess. So that's my trend for the day, and some tips that can help you and your clients get out of that noise and really think about how they can connect. Of course, if you're in our space, a career services side space, one of the ways to do that is to help people really understand who they are, who their audience is, and how they can connect the dots. And that's what our personal branding process is all about. It's not about the messaging really or the fluff. It's about that deep understanding of who you are, what you want to do, and who your audience is, so that you can create messaging with your clients that connects the dots. I was just talking to a resume writer who's going to go through this program about how this is how I shifted from doing mostly resume writing when I first started as a coach. Even with my master's in counseling, resume writing was kind of the easiest business to get. But what I noticed was that a lot of people didn't know who they were or how they were different from their competition. And so their documents were really ineffective, even if they were all keyword matchy. They were really ineffective because they didn't have that depth of connection between my true self and accomplishments that matter and the company and what they value. And this branding takes it to that deeper level so that you can be more effective in your job search, not just in your resume and your documents, but really in everything that you do. We've got a certified personal branding strategist who use this program with business owners, with leaders who want to get more visibility. It was done for a long time at one of the big four accounting firms. So it's well vetted in helping leaders be more effective and visible, in addition to helping job seekers and small business owners like us be more effective in our communications and our marketing. So if you're interested in that, it starts tomorrow with the wonderful Susan Critton, author of Personal Branding for Dummies. And if you have questions about that, let me know so we can get those answered and get you started tomorrow. Anyways, I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for the Now, the New, and the Next in Careers. If you've got a topic that you think we should cover, send it on over. We'd love to do that. And we'll see you next Tuesday. We talk about the Now, the New, and the Next in Careers. Thank you, everyone.